I would like to think you can, that there is no such thing as being irredeemable, that we're constantly, evolving and that we should be allowed to constantly be able to evolve.
Adam, it is a privilege to speak to you. Thank you so much for
Oh,
the time.
thanks, man. I appreciate it. I've been watching so much Back to the Future lately because of my kids. It's hilarious that you have there.
They still play.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
really.
100%. Um, yeah, I don't think I've seen, honestly, I don't think I saw the first one since probably I saw it in the theater. And then my kids became obsessed with them. So we've been watching them like, 1 through 3, every 3 weeks or whatever. And then we went and saw the stage musical recently, um, which, at first I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this, but um, my kids were so into it, and then I was into it, and so yeah. Anyway,
Please tell me there's a song about the flux capacitor. It's coming here, and I need to know.
there is a song about everything. There are songs about things that I didn't even think about. Like you know who gets a song is the brother. Like, there's a song called "Do You Want Fries with That?" Like, do you even remember what the brother does in it? He works for like McDonald's or something like that.
He's got the fry cook
Yeah,
hat.
they made a
The
whole 5 minute song. I'm like, what? I'm like, and I was like trying to think back. I was like, was that even important in that? No, it's nothing.
I need a 3 minute song about it. That's what I'm telling you right now.
The thing is way too long, and they definitely could have cut the fries bit. But anyway, it's fun. It's fun.
Well, honestly, I can't wait for that. But I had so much fun with the Exorcism as well.
Cool.
This film's an absolute blast. What
Right.
what brought you in? What attracted you to the role of Peter?
That's easy. Russell reached out to me and he was like, I got this part for you. I think, you got to do this part, blah, blah, blah. And, I would have done probably any role that he'd asked me to play. But then I read the script and got on the phone with Josh. And, it was, a no-brainer because again, working with Russell and then working with him in this capacity, being able to really sort of play with him in a way that I didn't get an opportunity to do doing A Beautiful Mind years ago. Um, it was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. Plus, I really happen to like this sort of subgenre of films about people sort of unraveling as they're trying to sort of create and make art and mind their personal life. These are all themes that have been really interesting to me for years. In fact, I wrote and directed a film called I Love Your Work while I was sort of coincidentally writing while shooting A Beautiful Mind, which was about essentially an actor who's having a psychotic break. And so there were just a lot, it all felt very sort of meant to be, I guess.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Russell there because this is a reunion of sorts for you both in
Yeah,
in
totally.
in some ways. So, what is it like working with him? What does he bring to a role?
He's just in a super rare, talent. I mean, I've worked with really amazing actors, and they all have their sort of different ways into, a role or whatever. I think what's always amazed me about Russell, what kind of blew my mind watching Beautiful Mind. I mean, here's a guy probably in the headiest time of his life, right? I mean, we literally started shooting Beautiful Mind the day after the Oscars, which he won for the Gladiator. And he was passing around the Oscar that night at the pub, at Princeton where we were shooting, and yet he could turn this guy off and on. I mean, here's a guy who's so immersed in a character that you have to assume that this guy's walking around as John Nash or whatever character he's playing, and he's just not, and he's just capable of flipping a switch, and it's remarkable. I can't do that. I'm not. I do have to sort of be more method than that. And ironically, here we're playing a guy, characters, where I'm, employing this extreme, Stanislavskian's, sort of method of trying to mine, the guy's, deepest, darkest parts of his soul in order to elicit a performance. And so there was a kind of irony in the fact that in a way that's kind of what I need to do in order to play somebody, and it seems like he just presses some sort of on button. I don't know, it's crazy. but it also really makes it really easy to work with because um, he's a fun guy to hang out with, and we've maintained a friendship over the years, and so he's you don't you want to be able to trust the guy that you're in a scene with, because once you're in a scene, it sounds a little, sort of hyperbolic, but it sort of feels like you could be you're in a free fall and you're never really sure what's going to happen. And you have to kind of feel like anything can happen. Otherwise, it doesn't feel real. And if you do that with somebody that you trust, then, exciting things can happen. And I really felt like we were getting to that, having a little taste of those moments.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And his journey, his character's journey, Tony's journey in this film is absolutely fascinating. It's not something you see a lot in this sort of horror film, if you will.
All right.
And one of the things I think is so interesting about him is he's continuously called irredeemable.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, in your mind, do you think he's irredeemable? And if so, what do you think forgiveness means?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if, I mean, I guess there are certain people, who are, irredeemable. I certainly don't think his character is irredeemable. Um, you know, I mean, I feel like I experience this on a daily basis. I mean, it sounds dramatic, but, I have two kids, 9 and 5, and I'm kind of an older guy to have, I guess, kids that age. I'm 53 or whatever, and I think I was terrified of having kids. And it's interesting because this is a movie which in many ways is really just about a father and his daughter. And I struggle daily with this idea of, did I do something, did I imprint something on my kids, which is irredeemable, frankly. Did I handle that situation the right way? Did I just scar this kid for life? I mean, there's something about having children, obviously, I'm not saying breaking any ground here, that raises the stakes of who you are and how you are, and how you present yourself and what you model. And so, I think, on the deepest level, I think that's what this film, is about. And I would like to think that you can always sort of, I'd like to think you can, that there is no such thing as being irredeemable, that we're constantly, evolving, and that we should be allowed to constantly be able to evolve. Of course, if you're just a full-fledged sociopath serial killer, I mean, that opens up a whole other, sort of can of worms. But I
Well,
don't
that's
think
a
that's who his character is.
yeah, it's very different than Tony. Honestly, the film is such a fun ride. Just as we wrap up here, I know we're running out of time. What do you hope people take away from The Exorcism?
Honestly, I hope that they really enjoy and appreciate, what Russell can bring to film. I mean, I really do mean that. I feel very fortunate to have, sort of known him and see and been able to witness him work, and it's really a marvel, just the levels of subtlety and layers that he's able to bring. And sure, there's a lot of really interesting kind of thematic stuff, and obviously there's some scares, and that's all fun. But I hope that the depth of the character work comes across.
It does, and he's great, but it's great. You're great in it as well. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for the time, Adam. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
it.
absolutely. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Have a
All
great
right.
day.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks so much.